Stimați oaspeți, aș ruga toți cei care nu și-au luat...
Dear guests, please let us go back to our seats and let us begin the following panel. I would like to invite Natalia Mogul, Deputy Director General of AGP, that will present the system of IP in Moldova.
Hello, dear guests, colleagues, friends. I have the special pleasure of welcoming you to Chișinău on this special occasion of launching the EU4IP project. I am also honored to present to you today an overview of the intellectual property system of the Republic of Moldova. I will continue my speech in Romanian. Firstly, because that way I will be able to tell you more, because I have a better speed in Romanian. And secondly, to save you from the torture of my authentic accent. However, for a better understanding, I have prepared the presentation in English, which will somehow facilitate the work of the translators, I hope. So let's start. Deci, să începem. Eu reprezint aici în fața dumneavoastră Agenția de Stat.
Here I represent the State Agency for IP, which is the central public authority subordinated to the government, responsible for the promotion and actions to legally protect IP subjects. The agency had an evolution starting with Moldova's independence, and going back, looking back, actually, in 1992, the Agency for Industrial Property. In 2004, well, in 1991, there was the Agency for Copyright, and then 92 for IP, and then in 2004 they were merged, and recently in 2014, on the basis of the law 114, the agency had been reorganized, becoming a central public authority. What I would like to highlight here is that yearly, on the 8th of September, we are marking the anniversary of the agency. It's not linked to the Agency for Copyright or the Agency for the Protection of the Industrial Property. This date is actually was chosen because there was staff ensured. So we are based on a professional team that I hope you would meet during the implementation of this project. Throughout the years, we have achieved a number, and in 2021, there was no, in 1991, there was no legal framework, and Moldova did not exist as a subject of international treaties. Therefore, throughout the years, we have started by putting up a legal framework by joining the most important international treaties on IP. We have become parties to the International Trade Organization. We have established specific laws for each of the objects of IP. It was very important that throughout the years we took care to implement the newest technologies, so that today we have all the registries in IP being open for the public. We provide a series of services that are less usual for IP offices. We emphasize promotion, education, support for economic operators. So during 2009-2012, the AGP launched a pre-diagnosis service, and we are in a continuous development. We have implemented the quality management system for the services that the agency provides. We have signed the validation agreement with the European Patents Organization. We have very lucrative memoranda with the International Organization for IP, and we also have an important memorandum signed with the European IP Office, on the basis of which the Republic of Moldova has joined the TM View, Design View, TM Class, Design Class, and so on. We have also joined the e-filing services of the Madrid filing, PCT filing, and so on. And we have a series of other instruments of online services that we have been promoting in order to make the system of intellectual property even friendlier for the businesses. An extremely important step for us is the fact that the Council of Europe has granted us the status of a candidate country. Therefore, we are currently distributing the exercise in this exercise of screening and adjusting the legal framework to the EU requirements, and we talked to the colleagues from Ukraine. We're doing quite well as regards the legislation. However, we have many more things, many more efforts to undertake in the future in order to cope with the reality. According to the law, JP has a number of functions. All these functions are being carried out on the basis of the employees of the agency that are not so numerous but very valuable, very good professionals. And the most important thing is that they are open for everything that is new. And I'm sure that the colleagues from RJP are equally thrilled with this possibility to implement a project that is so ambitious that would allow us to become even better. Speaking about the most important mandates or responsibilities of AJP, I would put them into three categories. So legal framework and cooperation activities. There are very important activities that refer to granting protection to IP objectives. And we also have a series of activities that refer to promotion, training, and raising the awareness about IP, because you know that it's never enough. No matter how much effort one would make, additional efforts are needed in order to enhance the knowledge about IP, or the agency is a great promoter of culture in the area of intellectual property. Speaking about the legal framework, we have special laws. We are party to the most of international treaties on IP. Also, throughout the years, the agency has established good relations with the authorities from different countries, as well as at the regional level. We are very active, both from within the WIPO as well as other specialized organizations. And throughout this period of time, we have developed a series of strategic partnerships that we hope to keep up, improve, and maybe increase the number and the quality. If we were to speak about the granting of protection, so that you have an idea about the volume of the objects of IP that are being protected in Moldova, we're not a large office and we cannot praise ourselves or boast with lots of trademarks or designs, just like the WIPO is or large offices are. And for a small country, we would say that there is interest to capitalize on this and to register the IP subjects. And yearly, we receive about 5,000 applications for registration of IP objects. Mainly these are trademarks, but also invention, patents, industrial design. As parties to international treaties, we receive applications internationally from Madrid, from The Hague. We have a good representation both of the domestic applicants as well as international applicants. And it's around 5,000 applications per year and granted titles. I would like to praise a little bit the office. Throughout the years, we have undertaken lots of actions in order to promote e-services, such as e-filing, well, everything that refers to digitalization. Obviously, this is not enough. It's not enough how much we've done. We still keep up the efforts, but we already can say that 65%, almost 65% of applications are filed through our online services. For a small country such as the Republic of Moldova, this is quite a high share. When we used to implement online services, we were thinking, who would use these services? Because from the north of the country and to get to the capital, it's around 1 hour. Well, it has proved to be a very good service that was well received both by professionals, mandated users, as well as economic operators. Speaking about statistics, we are talking about figures that have stabilized at a certain level. And as I was saying, we are speaking about 5,000 to 6,000 IP objects that have been granted throughout the years. A separate chapter is geographic indication, appellation of origin, and traditional. And we have undertaken lots of efforts to promote this quality system so that currently in Moldova we have 11 geographic indications, 7 appellations of origins, and 6 guaranteed local specialists, traditional specialties, and they are protected on the basis of the association agreement, the geographic indications in the EU. And we also have bilateral agreements with the United Kingdom. We have a bilateral arrangement with Georgia where we reciprocally recognize geographic indications, because these IP objects grant an added value to the agricultural products of which we are very proud, and we want to valorize and capitalize both on the domestic as well as international market. So the things that you see on the screen, and because I'm hurrying, I might overlook important details. On the state agency's website, you find this interactive map. There you could list all the protected geographic indications, and you can see what are the products which underpin these names, which we in Moldova know and which we promote when we go abroad. As I was saying, throughout the years, the agency had emphasized a lot and tried to undertake a lot of measures to train the professionals. And here I mean both the public authorities, the representatives of various institutions. Also, we have undertaken a lot of measures to educate the broader public. 25 or 30 years ago, when you talked about protection of IP or industrial property, nobody knew what that was, or trademark. Some people could mix it up for post stamps. And they said, no, we don't need the postal services. Today, people know what IP is. Every company is informed about the protection of the trademark, about the fact that there is a possibility to register an industrial design. And in this regard, we have created specialized courses at the universities, IP management or IP law. These courses are not taught at all the universities, but it is taught at the State University, Academy of Economic Sciences, and the Technical University. Also, AJP provides specialized course on IP 148 hours, in particular because this is a large course. Within the framework of this course, we're trying to navigate through the entire area of IP and bring to the knowledge of this interest and stakeholders what IP in Moldova is. Also, the partnership that the agency has developed throughout the years with the National Institute of Justice is valuable. There we organize courses for judges and prosecutors on IP. This is a special area. This is why it requires special training. And we also have various and multiple trainings upon request. Every time we are open for such activities. We have publications, the ones that you see on the screen, I would like to highlight and emphasize, obviously, our annual reports, but a very important publication is the Intellectuals magazine, which is a scientific publication that we are promoting together with our partners Anna Czech, and year on year there is a noticeable increase in the quality of the research published there, and we also have lots of promotional materials that we have developed throughout the years. An important component, just like Ms. Crudu highlighted and Mr. Director Russo and Mr. Joao has highlighted, is to ensure the respect of the rights. You might have very well developed legal framework, but without correct implementation of the legal framework, it doesn't matter what the laws read if they are not properly implemented. This is why there is a huge attention paid throughout the years to ensure the respect of the rights, IP rights, and this is why we have developed the observatory. This is why all the stakeholders that have a responsibility in protecting the IP rights have a very close cooperation and can talk to each other. It doesn't require official letters and lots of bureaucracy. This is a platform to discuss openly and address the issues quickly. Because when when we talk about the insurance of the rights, the speed, the promptness is the key issue. Because if it lasts for several weeks, then it might happen that the intervention is too late. Another thing is that we generate the annual national report on the respect of the right. Within the framework of this report, all the activities would have to report on their activities for the previous year with regard to the assurance of the IP rights. On the platform of this observatory, we have also developed a service that is based on web services, interconnection services between the IT systems of the stakeholders, authorities, and there we have interesting statistical data and interesting data on IP protection. Well, actually, all data in IP is interesting for me, and I think that for the people in the audience as well. So this is what the data that we collect from our partners look like. And you know that we have lots of protected IP objects at the border. For the previous year, we have around 1,100 objects that are protected. There are apprehensions, there are the various actions undertaken, there are fake and forged commodities which had been confiscated. We have colleagues from the customs service and other authorities that are engaged. So this is the information on the insurance of the respect of the rights. On the platform of the observer, we have of this observatory, we have education campaigns. Often these campaigns are aimed at the young people because we believe that the skills to protect and respect the IP comes from early age. And if you talk to the children, not in very sophisticated terms about what an invention is, and show to the child how important a design is, that a design maybe that the child has created, or a picture or a poem that the child has written, so the children get this feeling that you own that you owe something that you cannot touch, but this is the fruit of the intellectual activity. And in 2023, we have carried out the children's information campaign among summer camps for children. So we went there and we talked to children about that. And at the beginning, they were kind of resisting because they came to the summer camp to rest. And but at the end of these meetings, they said that they saw themselves as inventors or millionaires that have taken a picture, and then they have become an IP subject. And this they will take home and share among with their families. For the following period, we expect it to be quite intense, both for our office as well as for the offices in Ukraine and Georgia. With regard to the adjustment of the legal framework, EU4IP project in this regard is extremely important, because when you read a directive or a regulation, it might happen that our capacity to understand what that meant might not be properly accurate. This is why the IP offices from the EU member states would provide some explanations maybe, or would clarify things for us. Also, for the following period, we aim at strengthening the cooperation on international platforms. And since there is room for better, there's always room for better. With regard to the management of copyright, we hope to strengthen this system, and we would pay a lot of attention with regard to the modernization of IGP services. We have many services that we provide online, but when we see what other offices do, we are jealous and we want to be there as well. High quality, client-oriented services and easy to manage. And obviously, as I was saying, we think about promoting knowledge on IP, because any person who feels that they are part of this circuit of the IP system, because it's not abstract. IP is not for the academia only. It's not right, because IP touches upon every of us on daily basis. We are creators, we are owners of IP objects. We need to know our rights as well as obligations. So we aim at strengthening and intensifying our cooperation in this regard. And I see Victoria is giving me glances, so I would like to thank you for this possibility, and possibility to tell you about the IP system in Moldova. I would love to boast with what else we have achieved, but I will keep it for other meetings. Once again, thank you on our behalf for having the possibility to implement this project, which I'm sure will bring new opportunities for us as officers, but in particular for the beneficiaries of the IP services, or we are here to serve our public. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Madam Mogul. You may now take your seat. And now I would like to announce the first discussion panel. We will talk to the representatives of Georgia, Ukraine, and Moldova about the process of integration into the European system of intellectual property, the approach to the most recent evolutions and perspectives for the future. I would like to introduce the speakers of our panel. I've got here Olena Orliuk, Doctor, University Professor. She is a lecturer researcher and manager in intellectual property. She leads state organization, Ukrainian National Office for Intellectual Property and Innovation. She was a member and expert in various working groups, also in the World Intellectual Property Organization. The subject of interest was development of legislation in this area and innovation. She was also an expert for the EU project for the justice sector reform in Ukraine and also of the joint program of the UK to set up a specialized courts for intellectual property. Welcome. I would also like to introduce Mr. Soso Gyurgadze. As of 1992, he is the chairperson of the National Intellectual Property Center of Georgia, SACPatenti. Before he joined SACPatenti team, he was the Deputy Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, and also Deputy Minister of Georgia, Deputy Minister of Justice of Georgia. No, 2021-2022. I also would like to introduce Mr. Eugenio Russo, Director General on the State Agency on Intellectual Property of the Republic of Moldova. He was in various positions in the agency. He was in the Copyright Directorate, he was the Counselor to the Director General, and now he is Director General of the agency. He is a young manager, but it doesn't make him less ambitious compared to the other colleagues from other countries. And we are happy that Mr. Russo has come up with the idea to conduct this activity in Chișinău. We are very happy and proud to host the launching event. First, Madam Olena, I would like to ask you the following question. As I mentioned it during the first meeting with you, we are extremely grateful to you, thanks to your ambition and willingness to be part of this event. You had lots of challenges and barriers, but you are still here today in Chișinău. Ukraine is still fighting enormous challenges because of the unprovoked and unjustified military aggression. The Ukrainian government still has a reform agenda, and they are very ambitious to implement all European regulations and to be part of the EU in the nearest future. The system of intellectual property remains fully operational. And my question to you is, what are the expectations from this project? What would you like to accomplish with it in Ukraine? And what is the status of intellectual property in the reform agenda initiated by Ukrainian government from the moment of getting the candidacy for the EU, on which I congratulate you once again.
Thank you very much for the introduction. First of all, I would like to say thank you to EU4IP, and also to our colleagues from Moldova, that my team and I can join this event. I would like also to say thank you on behalf of the all IP community of Ukraine, to European Commission and EUPO, that we can be a part of this project. And I hope we are going to have excellent results of its implementation. Overall, we are sure that the opportunities we got through this project will enable us to foster the system of IP, not only in the three participating countries. They will also be positive for the global system of IP and beneficial for IP beneficiaries, especially for EU member states. I'm absolutely sure that this project will become a practical tool of support for medium and small businesses, for creators, because they need our joint efforts, not only to protect the IP rights, but also to start new opportunities of commercialization, and Ukraine works hard on that now. Certainly, the challenges of the war of aggression in Ukraine, the deepening, the losing people, we see brain loss, our infrastructure is deteriorating, we have limited financial resources, and we're losing the creative, innovative potential. And also the psychological effect is increasing, is building up. Of course, it worsens commercialization and also creation of intellectual property itself, intellectual products themselves. But I would like to say that no matter what, Ukraine demonstrates positive results. Only during last year, the number of applications for the registration and trademarks, for example, increased by 55%, on industrial design by almost 35%. We can see the increase on inventions from national inventors in the national system by 27%. And this is not on the war-related innovations. And of course, there is a big share of such innovations and inventions. We see the continuous contests on presenting the projects and green innovations, medical progress. We have many innovations in digitalization, including developing of software. Ukraine shows serious achievements, and we have to provide them with sufficient mechanisms of IP protection. So, as of now, we continue to work hard on specific solutions of how to do that. And one of such solutions is the development of the national IP strategy until 2030. We have been developing it jointly with and with the support of our European partners and jointly with the WIPO, and we will present the first draft as soon as in April this year. And we hope to present the final version in July to approve it at the government level. The idea of the strategy is to show that despite gigantic challenges, the national system of IFP is not only efficient and functional, but it continues to build up, to be efficient, transparent. And we have to provide the tools of support that promote innovative development of Ukraine and prepare this area to integrate into European Union. After the recent explanatory meeting with the European Commission, where Ukraine was presented jointly with Moldova, we coordinated the steps and harmonization of national legislation with the legislative framework of EU and also reviewed them from the practical point of view. And in February, the government approved the system of measures to implement the EU Commission recommendations. And as of now, there's 350 activities with engagement of authorities and executive branch, and many of them are in the area of IP. We can see we have very clear vision of how we're going to implement it through the current year. And after this meeting with the EU Commission, we can see how we're going to move forward, and we're widely aware as for the deadlines, as for harmonization. So it is critical for us within this project to get expert support specifically in harmonization of national legislation. So, in certain terms, we can see the following priorities within this project. First of all, this mitigating the negative effects of the war, recovering and further development of creative, innovative environment in Ukraine to ensure stable management of IP segment, creation and development of new opportunities for business creators, innovators, so that they could get profit from their IP projects. This is our big target, and we take activities including in promotion, change of culture, etc. Of course, this is the deepening of regional development, especially given that some territories are occupied and some businesses are relocated, yet they develop. Another target is improvement of the procedure of protection of IP rights, including through appeal chamber, through mediation procedures, through monitoring of law enforcement, and through development of competence and potential of the law enforcement bodies. And in those terms, it's very important for us the work, the Observatory Center we have launched recently, and we're in close cooperation with customs, with the law enforcement agencies. We'll also consider the development from the Prosecutor's General Office, the fair competition areas, and we want to improve this protection and make sure that Ukraine was not indicated in the EU reports than it used to be. And we do our best to improve the situation, including through customs bodies. Another area is to introduce new digital services in Ukraine, and the registrations are mostly now performed in electronic format, and Ukraine is a digitalized country. We have examples that we can share with other partners. Also, improvement of expertise. And on one hand, our experts improve their qualification thanks to the support of European partners, support of WIPO. On the other hand, we have practices and cases we're ready to share with our partners. We're ready to demonstrate various expertises, for example, in biotechnology, chemistry, medicine. I don't even mention the military area. And of course, this is improved communication with stakeholders. Our office is extremely active in communication now. And thanks to that, we promote IP and development of knowledge on what IP is and why we need that and how you can commercialize it. Increasing awareness and developing the culture of IP. I believe these aspects, these are our main expectations from the work within this project. I realize some plans sound ambitious, but even today we have quite serious achievements and we can demonstrate them. And I'm sure that on our joint path, jointly with our partners towards European integration, we will be able to fulfill our potential and ensure that Ukraine joins the European innovative creative environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to wish you success in implementation of all your accession plans. Moreover, State Agency for Intellectual Property in UN-IPO are now about to sign a memorandum of understanding between our offices, which will intensify our cooperation even more. Of course, we can cooperate under the project, but the memorandum is also going to be a very good point for consolidation of cooperation. Mr. Gyurgadze, I have a question for you. First, Let me congratulate you on your status, on Georgia's status as a candidate country, and SAC Patenti as well. You have previous experience with EU IPO and a previous project that ended in 2023, EU chip. You achieved a lot of good things. You are a step ahead. And I'm confident that this project will be a continuation of this cooperation. Could you tell us what are your lessons learned in the cooperation under the project? Do you have any advice for the colleagues from Ukraine or for us? We would like our cooperation to be as successful as your previous project, EOG. And could you also tell us about the plans of Georgia and the plans of SAC Patenti on the implementation of the extension agenda and on the implementation of the intellectual property acquis communautaire? Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to welcome Executive Director of the IPO Office, Mr. João Negrão, and my colleagues from Moldova and other European countries. I'm honored to be with you at the launch event of the project. Also, I would like to thank the European Union, the EU IPO for implementation EU4IP project, supporting the intellectual property system in Georgia. Within this project, the analysis of regulatory acts of Georgia and the European Union in the field of intellectual property was conducted accordingly. The following draft laws were prepared also. For example, a package of legislative amendments to the laws in the field of trademarks, design, copyright, and enforcement of intellectual property rights. On the basis of the above mentioned in the current year amendments were made already to the trademark law of Georgia. Also, I will mention that along with the legislative initiatives, I would highlight the training materials of 70 titles developed in Georgian language for teachers and pupils for the purpose of raising awareness. It was 950 lessons on intellectual property and were delivered for 2,017 pupils in Georgia. And as regards priority issues for future, I think it's very important things for us, not only for Georgia, because we are together now in this project, new project, the EU4IP. First of all, it's full approximation of the practice of the Chamber of Appeals of SAC Patenti with the EU Board of Appeal. Also strengthening the institution of patent attorneys. SAC Patenti is launching a reform in the field of patent attorneys. The draft law of Georgia on patent attorneys was prepared by SAC Patenti and was already adopted in the fourth reading by the Parliament of Georgia. Also, at the same time, we intend to work on the development of legal regulation related to artificial intelligence. I think it's very important to stimulate, support, and develop innovation and creativity. Development of a strategy for development of intellectual property field. And now, as regards the question, what we would recommend and share from our experience with our colleagues from Moldova and Ukraine. I think most important, it's very important to set objective correctly. The necessities, the purposes, you should know in advance the maximum and the minimum program. From our experience, you will work with a highly qualified project team for whom most important is to see the objectives clearly. Thank you very much. I think we have possibility to share very important experience from our colleagues, teams from EU4IP, and we're ready to collaborate, to communicate with us, with you. And I think we will have very important issues about not only new law, also some important materials. Thank you very much.
Vă mulțumesc frumos. Într-adevăr, cum a menționat și
Thank
domnul
you very
George,
much indeed, as Mr. Gheorghiță has mentioned, as well as Mr. Negrao. It is extremely important to establish the objectives of this project very clearly. It is not an endless project. It is for 4 years. And together with our colleagues from Ukraine and Georgia, we will send to the potential beneficiaries a document where everyone will be able to speak about the key priorities and the specific actions of the project in the forthcoming period in Georgia, Ukraine, and Moldova. Now I have a question for Mr. Rusu. You and the Republic of Moldova and the GEPI deserve to be commended because you have proven that you can ambitiously implement European legislation. As Madam Orluk has said, on the 15th of March, together with the colleagues from Ukraine, we had a session of explanatory screening for Chapter 6. ACEPI is the leader in Moldova for this chapter. We have proven that we have very clear objectives and we will implement them soon. As it has been mentioned before, we have implemented a lot of instruments provided by EU4IP. We have team view, design view. What do you think are the key priorities on the association agenda, or European integration agenda for the Republic of Moldova? What are the priorities of ACEPI? And what are your expectations with regard to this project? Thank you for the question, Victoria. And thank you for having praised ACEPI in your speech. The institution was always an example to follow because there were dedicated professionals there. We always managed to tackle challenges that were coming our way. At this point, it is important to make sure that we fully transpose the acquis communautaire in national legislation. And we also need to make sure that we implement the legal provisions. And as the Executive Director Joao has said, one of the objectives is to consolidate the activity of the observers so that Moldova is able to prove that we can do even better in this sense, so that we are able to identify the counterfeit items and that we are able to prevent infringements of intellectual property rights. Now, we will need to fill in the questionnaire. We will need to answer questions that will be asked. It's a good question for the colleagues from Moldova, and it's not good for the colleagues from ACEPI. The question is, when will the negotiations on Chapter 7 will begin, specifically the ones related to intellectual property? In this sense, we count on the support of the project EU4IP. We hope to be supported in all activities related to European integration, so that we are able to align to the acquis communautaire without the need to further intervene in legislation. We count on support to be able to promote intellectual property among the consumers. And this is important. And ultimately, I believe that all these actions will improve the culture of intellectual property right and respect for these rights in the Republic of Moldova. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. I would like to encourage the participants to ask questions to speakers and to Madam Mogol as well. I would like to ask a very sensitive question for all countries. Last year, when the report of the European Commission was published, it has been mentioned that there are specific recommendations for every country. Among this consolidation of cooperation with the UIPO, and for us, this is an important recommendation. We're all working on this. We have memorandums of understanding. Tomorrow we shall sign the plan of actions for AJP and the UIPO for the next 2 years. But there are other recommendations of the European Commission, and the system of collective management of intellectual property rights and of copyright has been mentioned. And we have in the room the representatives of the system of collective management from Moldova. But I would like to ask the panelists, what are the challenges that your country is facing in this area, in the area of copyright and of collective management?
Panie Wiktorio, dziękuję. Повношу
Ms. Victoria, thank you. I probably will be the first to answer. There are two aspects in this answer. The first is on the EU Commission report. We are implementing 2-year plan with the Office for Intellectual Property Rights, and it's quite intense. In my understanding, it has already many positive results. We are preparing for the regular visit regarding for the protection of rights. This is the chamber, appeal chamber, and our lawyers to gain the experience of European countries and EU IPO, how to apply the protection mechanism. We cooperate with our law enforcement agencies and our owners to improve the level of methodological provision, training, and joint recommendations. We expect these recommendations targeting protection, because we don't have the efficient system of IP protection. No matter how good the procedures of registration are, they won't be efficient. And we realize that if our country sees us as the country of innovation development, and we have this very ambitious vision of innovative development, we have to create efficient mechanisms to protect the rights, because this is about investment appeal. Speaking about the EU Commission report, Ukraine was indicated there as the one that achieved big progress, and I appreciate this high, this very praiseworthy things from the European Commission. I understand understand that's the big work to do ahead. And for June, we have a very clear step-by-step plan to implement recommendations and requirements set before us. And this will make it possible to take another step related to the meeting we had recently. This covers the issues of improvement of procedures for patent registration and trademarks, as well as designs. Another area of operation is the format of right protection and copyright protection, which is the focus of hard work in the country. So this is the second part of your question. And here, when we had this meeting with the European Commission, we analyzed some aspects, even some moments. We have some amendments to copyright and related rights protection. We want to have consulting sessions with the EU experts to present this draft law to the Parliament. And probably it will cover and address many issues that European Commission mentioned during this meeting. Second, speaking about collective management, we have difficulties. We admit that. We have interrupted procedures of accreditation for the martial law. We have this voluntary management system. Because Ukraine is now recognized in the world, we're now identified finally, and we're really sorry about the reason why we're identified like that. But anyway, we have recognition abroad, and we have more applications from abroad as well. We cooperate with the sector of creative management to improve transparency of the system and implement the efficient mechanisms that will enable of distribution of the profits for Ukraine to become a full-fledged member of the system of collective management, if we can call it. And also, we hope that the partnership with various organizations will benefit for Ukrainian executives too. So this is the track we pursue now. We have lots of challenges now that relate to digitalization. We seek and work on finding opportunities to develop a software system to improve the benefit and various payments system. We also would like to engage our customs system to use the European system. And we also see that in recommendations of European experts, these customs-related issues. And I'm sure that this will ensure positive results, not only for Ukrainian businesses and Ukrainian creative industries, but also for the entire European sector. We're widely aware of the challenges, but we also have very clear understanding of how to fulfill our plans, and we pursue, surely, and I would like to say no Russian missiles prevent us from doing that.
Last year, a large-scale reform was implemented in the field of management and copyright and related rights. Within the reform, taking into account the relevant directives of the European Parliament and the European Council, significant amendments were made to the law. In particular, the new law imperatively imposed on organizations wishing to manage collectively economic rights the obligation to pass state accreditation. And also within the reform, in addition to the rule of accreditation, effective mechanisms for protection of economic rights were introduced. Modern, transparent rules for collection and distribution of royalties were defined. But now we also have challenges and important challenges, I think. The law defines a relevant mechanism in case an organization fails to fulfill its obligation properly. However, I think it should be noted that in this direction, it remains an important challenge to raise and strengthen the awareness of right holders to ensure that they can fully use the levers provided by the new law. And now in Georgia, it's also important to strengthen the newly accredited organization. It's very important and it's crucial, I think so. Thank you very much.
My turn. În 2000... It's okay. În 2022 noi am adoptat...
In 2022, we have approved a new law on copyright and related rights. And in the first as well as the second report, the European Commission has found that to a great extent, this law, in its largest part, the law is aligned to the EU acquis. Of course, we are facing a number of challenges or some issues. However, at the moment, I could tell that no law is perfect, and we are open to improve laws so as to bring an added value to any realm. The realm of copyright and related rights is not an exception. In the documentation visit, we had a meeting including with collective management organizations where we have raised all the challenges in this regard. And I refer to the project documentation visit of the project EU4IP, so as to bring an added value to the development of the collective management system. I count on the good cooperation of the collective management system so as we bring the legal framework close as possible to the EU acquis as well as the needs of the rights holders. And I would like to thank the stakeholders in this area for having accepted our invitation and are here today at this launch event. During the documentation visit, we have discussed the monitoring software, and I would like to mention with regard to the first question that it is very important that at the level of this EU project, it is important that all the forces of all the beneficiary countries are consolidated so as there's no competition, first come, first served. But actually, we should address the major issues that every country faces with so that we find ultimately a solution. At the same time, we would like to build institutional capacities, both of HGP as well as collective management organizations, which through organizing information workshops, exchanges of experiences, so as to implement efficient methods within the framework of the collective management system. One of the recommendations of the European Union was to have more activities with regard to the quantum of the remuneration collected on copyright and related rights. And for this recommendation, we have requested the support of the EU4IP project so as to organize the roundtable where we would invite experts from various countries, EU member states, so as they would share their expertise and experiences in the area, which would definitely be of support for our collective management organization. Also, for this round table, we'd like to invite experts who are not from the EU member states, and for that we would ask for the support of the WIPO. And I hope that subsequently things would become clear for the IP organization of Moldova, as well as collective management organizations. Following the implementation of the copyright and related rights law, there was a period of stagnation. However, now things started moving forward, and there are challenges that we could address only when we merge efforts together with the collective management organizations. And besides, we also have other challenges as regards the, well, even if sometimes we think that in the area of IP rights, we could see how the hybrid attack is applied. Well, I would like to assure you that no area is safe. Therefore, we have to undertake every effort to mitigate any interference in the activities of the government or any state institution or even privately owned institutions as well. That was all on my side. Thank you for the question. If there are other questions from in the audience, I would be happy to take them. Thank you. I would like to thank our speakers, first of all, the panelists, the presenter, and to apologize that this panel lasted longer than expected. And I would like us to move forward to the next topic of our agenda, and I invite for the second panel the moderator, Sandris Laganovskis, the Director of Institutional and Cooperation Department of EU4IP, together with representatives of the offices of Romania, Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia. And Mr. Director, please stay here. And Mr. João, you're invited to the panel, please.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to proceed with the next panel dedicated to the joint support to EU accession, lessons learned and cooperation outlook. And I'm really honored and as well pleased to chair or moderate this panel with comprising only of the heads of national IP offices, copyright offices, and the European Union Intellectual Property Office. And it's of course very pertinent that only some decades ago, some of these colleagues underwent the actually accession procedure. So they were expecting and experiencing the same, let's say, experience to get acquainted with the acquis communautaire, to understand how to best implement and as well how to undergo, let's say, under this process. And of course, we are therefore very glad to be here today with representatives of such a distinguished national IP offices. Let me maybe start with the first question to my colleagues from the Baltic states and colleagues you were recently as well last year in October in Kiev in Ukraine, and as well sending a strong message of unity and support and solidarity with Ukraine and of course with the region at large in the, let's say, light of the unprovoked war of aggression. And you heard as well from the colleagues, what are the expectations of this project now when we have it for the next 4 years, setting, let's say, the structure and guidance in this area. Can you share your, let's say, views how in practice we could implement the best this cooperation and how you could share your experience the best on this process? And I would suggest maybe, Margus, you could start.
Yes, thank you, Sandris. And as you rightly mentioned, actually, it is almost the same team actually went to mission to Ukraine. And thank you, Helena, and your colleagues for taking us. And when starting to describe the possible results of our current project, what we are just launching, I just want to highlight that our actual cooperation started many, many years ago with each and every of the IP offices of the participating in this project. And I must say that with Georgian IP office, for example, we started closest cooperation in 2015, and there were several visits paid by our Georgian colleagues to our office in different levels, and even we had your parliament members with us. And with Moldova, we have had excellent cooperation during WIPO events and during General Assembly specifically, and in the context of the EPO. And of course, with Ukraine, we signed already a memorandum of cooperation with the respective ministry in 2018, and last year, of course, we signed altogether another memorandum of understanding in Poland, and it was very natural to go to visit Kiev, and it was basically where this cooperation idea was born. And yes, now coming closer to our today's topic, I have to say that being in part of European Union IP network, basically we have a huge amount of joint experiences we can share and describe what has happened, and then the only exercise we have to carry out is how you share those ideas between our national offices. And going back to the, as Sandris mentioned, more than 20 years ago, when we prepared for enlargement and accessing EU, we have, yes, still some good memories to share and our experience. But I can start from the alignment of EU acquis, full alignment. We're talking now after last autumn, this extension was confirmed and announced. So we can share our experience on completion of legal comparative analysis in all type of IP law, and I'm sure that it will be a great exchange of our experience, because we talked about it already today with our Ukrainian colleagues, and we can extend it, of course, to Moldova and Georgia as well. And it goes about all the types of IP law, be it trademarks, designs, copyrights, patents, geographical indications, you name it. And together with, as I already said, together with other national IP offices sitting next to me, we agreed to exchange experiences in education, communication, administrative, legal, and procedural issues on IP with Ukraine already, and we are keen to extend this cooperation to Moldova and Georgia. And other thing I want to mention, we already have significant experience through this already mentioned European Union IP network, and in our case, we have developed significant number in integration into the IP tools of the EU IPN. And in our case, it mostly means IT tools, but we also can talk about convergence of practice and quite many things. Estonian IP office has been keen participant in different working groups, and then sharing experiences. One thing that we can definitely do that, because I'm happy to see you have been very active observers already. So let's continue this work, and we can only be better. Both existing already acceded EU offices and future offices to be, or future member states. What else? Actually, currently EU is going through the design reform, and it means that maybe we can share our mutual practices on that as well, because quite many things will be different after this reform. And Estonia is closely involved in several very specific working groups, so maybe we can share our experience there as well. And maybe last but not least, I know that quite many IP offices are like, if we talk about quality and quality management, quite many IP offices are already ISO certified. But as one of ISO certified offices, EU offices, I definitely can propose that we can share our experience on how to work towards to be in European Union quality systems. So it is another thing I would like to mention. And then I just expect our excellent cooperation to continue. So it's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Viher, Director General of Estonian Patent Office. And now I'd like to extend the same question to Mr. Agris Badalauskis, Director General of Latvian Patent Office.
Yes, thank you very much. And of course, it's absolutely a pleasure to be here today in this opening event. And all I can say is that Margus really laid out almost all the important things, and I don't need to mention too much. But he rightly pointed out the fact that the cooperation with Moldova, with Ukraine, with Georgia, this is opportunity for us not to really, not only to re-engage the cooperation, but really it's one of our top priorities, and it's not only in the IP area. We've been very supportive for this region, and on a kind of more horizontal and national note, that always will be a priority for us. So that's why we are very happy to be part of this team, and however we are able to assist, we will definitely do it. Although I have to say, I was talking to Margus a little bit before we came up, and we were listening to the presentations and interventions, and also when we were in Ukraine not long ago, and we did visit the office. I could not escape of all the time thinking that we should be learning a lot more from you guys than the other way around. But of course, each office, each system has their strong suits and weakness, and by far none of us are perfect. And I think that the same as Margus mentioned, I think the Latvia similarly, I think, went through a rigorous and very difficult process of EU accession, which I shouldn't say lasted almost a decade. And so we kind of have gone through probably many possible challenges that go together with the approximation of our laws, of procedures, and we're still constantly doing this. I mean, the last 2 years have been a constant circle of adopting our national legislation. So of course, in this regard, we are more than happy to share our experience, the same as with quality and ISO certification, which Latvia has also done, and we can easily share the steps that we have taken things that we have gone through to not only be certified, but also to maintain it, which is again a different topic as such. And of course, when it comes to digitalization as well, it's very similar. I think every country takes the route differently, but we have spent quite a lot of time on this, and this is one of our top priorities for our office right now, to continue to make not only to digital, but to make it more effective, more user-friendly, more user-centric, with one single access point for clients. Because one thing is to create all type of different systems. The other thing is to make them so that they're easy, understandable, and for our users. So in that regard, e-filings, public databases, different IT tools, ADR tools, and etc. This is something that we are very much eager and happy to share with, and of course, Margus also mentioned the EU4IP network, which we've been actively participating in, and it's actually one of the best things, I think, for the national offices, a platform to collaborate, to exchange practice with, not only between offices, also user areas, and we are user associations and other institutions, and we are very happy that also on the EUIPO level, when it comes to liaison meetings, all three offices are already observers, and on the road to becoming full members. If there's anything in the sense of how we can assist, this is, of course, will be our top priority. And then the last two things, not to dwell too much, for us, one of the main points in the last year was to be more practical when it comes to our target audiences. And we don't anymore, I don't like the statistics, at least not for our office, how many seminars we have had, for example, for the society, for different target groups. Our main priority, strategic priority, is the youth, which was already mentioned also by Moldova, and we really want to have, and we are doing a more strategic approach. That means if we implement the changes, for the changes to be implemented horizontally in the national system. So for example, if you have educational programs, then negotiate with the responsible authorities to include them into the national education programs, because our activities a lot of times depend on the financial situation, on the resources, and as small office we don't have unlimited resources, so we need to use different opportunities how to do it. The same with the cooperation, the same approach is also with the universities, with enforcement activities, which we've been quite actively participating in. And also one of the key aspects for us in the last years was the cooperation with the judiciary, to create a very open and good platform with the judiciary, where it's not anymore them and us, where it's just us, and where we can work jointly with them. For example, right now we are really working on a national IP education program for them, which will be part of the Judicial Academy. So basically, together with them, working on something that they will have then from year in and year out to use and really, because at the end of the day, if that format is not working, the enforcement, there's not too much trust in the enforcement system as such. And the same applies for prosecution, where we are jointly doing this year. We are working on specific programs for them as well, which they can use for further raising their staff capacity and etc. So all things combined, a lot of things are happening, and we are very much looking forward to not only sharing, but also receiving all of the good practices from Ukraine, from Moldova, from Georgia, because there are plenty of them. And that's why that's our expectation. And I know that it will be a great result at the end. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Agris, for identifying numerous areas where Latvian experience can be of great use. And I couldn't agree more that as well, listening in a previous panel, I saw that if we in Latvia would be at the same level 20 years ago when we, let's say, did accession, we would do it much quicker and much more efficiently. But now I would like to extend the same question to Ms. Irina Urbone, Director General of State Patent Bureau. How you think which suits could be from Lithuanian experience the best suited for this project?
Thank you, Sandris, for the question. And as for my colleague, for us also very important to be here, to be the part of that project, because we see not just only opportunity to share our experience, but also review our achievements for maybe some improvements, and how we can share our experience. First of all, I think that we actually should identify our needs and our achievements, and choose the best way which one to share. I think that I agree with my colleagues and can say that we are ready to share our experience in all topics. But I think that, as I say, the most effective is to review in which we have maybe the best results. As Agris said, I also think that as the offices which provided services, first of all, very important for us to create the possibilities for our applicants to have user-friendly tools, user-friendly system for IP registrations. And we do very much in that field, and we understand that tools for these services is most important for us. And now actually we have all services, digital, electronic services, user-friendly user area for our applicants, front and back office full integrated, and we can share our experience in this field. Another one, I think, a very important sphere is right protection, because when applicants want to protect their intellectual property, then they feel more safety, and that the right protection system is good. I think that they get easily to protect their IP rights. And in Lithuania, I think we have full completed right protection system, because I think that we have all opportunities, classical way to protect your rights in the courts. And from this year, we started with mediation service, and I'm a mediator, and I actually have real experience in that field, and I know that is the best way in dispute resolution, because it's save time, save money, save reputation, save maybe business connection, and also often save business. And this service, I think, also is so important for SMEs, because as we know, and as we said, it's the biggest part of our business is SMEs, and it's really maybe more hardest for them to spend a huge sum of money of another way, by another way. And I totally agree with my colleagues that we should choose the tools with highest impact. And yes, we can do many seminars and other good things. It's okay. But I think that the way when we go straight to the study programs in secondary schools and professional schools, in the universities, I think that this way may be more effective. And actually, in Lithuania, we have last year we have the answers of our society, and it more than 60% of our people said that they would be very like that in our schools. Could be more material about IP. And we now, I think that we have really good experience with teaching, because we have really good project together with Vilnius municipality, Vilnius Drada School, and it's the website when everyone institution can put their lessons, and teachers can choose that lessons. And IP sphere so popular because our schedule is totally full by till the end of this year. And one more thing, I back to the right protection sphere. Also, as I know, the biggest need of our applicants is to have an opportunity to get consultation, and I think we also should to do more in that field. And now we also have the website, which works like one-stop shop, in which we organized all kind of consultation in IP questions, including the legal consultations, which we provided with patent attorneys and advocates. And we also have really good experience in that field.
Thank you very much, Irina, for sharing all the wealth of experience of the Lithuanian office, and of course as well bringing these important topics of IP education, helping SMEs with concrete measures, and the e-services, which are key in nowadays economy. Now let me pose the question to Andrei Iak, our colleague from Romanian Office of Copyright. He's a Director General. And of course, welcome to Moldova to this opening event. And Romania and Moldova has a very close ties economically, politically, socially, culturally. And as well, the project covers all IP rights, including copyrights. And I would like to ask how you see the concrete terms you could help the colleagues from Georgia, Ukraine, and of course, Moldova in this regard.
Mulțumesc foarte mult pentru întrebare.
Thank you very much for your question.
I prefer to answer in Romanian because we are in Chișinău. And Romania and the Republic of Moldova are two sister countries that speak the same language and share the same culture. I would like to thank my counterpart Eugeniu Rusu for the invitation. Hopefully, the project will be successful in the 4 years of its implementation. With Georgia and Ukraine, well, Romania is collaborating for a short period of time. With Moldova, we have more than 25 years of cooperation. In the most recent 2 years, we've managed to build even a friendship because the Bucharest and Chișinău offices have young managers. The general directors are of the same age. And I think there are principles, ideas, and lots of other things that we have in common. Let me tell you that in this project, Romania can have a bit of contribution with collective management. We have vast experience. There are 15 collective management bodies. There are lots of right holders from Moldova. They are full-fledged members of collective management entities from Romania. Once the 2 directives of 2019, particularly of the Directive 790, a new option for the press editors has appeared. In November, in Romania, we have created a new collective management entity for management of this right. And we can thusly provide the necessary support for the implementation in Moldova, Georgia, and Ukraine, should our support be needed. The previous speakers spoke a lot about this project. We went through these stages, and I would recommend to the 3 countries to update their strategy in intellectual property. Romania did this at the end of a similar project. If we could provide other kind of support in this project, that would be in intellectual property education. I think Romania is the only country, and if I'm wrong, my colleagues hopefully will correct me. Romania seems to be the only country to have in the high school curriculum an optional course about intellectual property. And we have it practically in all counties.
Înființat în anul 2015 împreună cu Ministerul Educației din România, semnându-se un totodată anul trecut la București
last year in Bucharest, a trilateral protocol has been signed to improve administrative capacity of the 3 offices. And we have to consolidate the enforcement part. You innovate and create in vain if there is no close connection to the institutions. that need to ensure protection and respect for intellectual property rights. I know that we are pressed for time, and I wouldn't like to go into details of other topics that have been brought up by my colleagues. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Iak, for your insight and as well, of course, describing the long-standing cooperation and all the different projects you have been already involved and all the experience you can share in this area. Next question I would like to pass, João, to you. And of course, you've been instrumental in facilitating this EU4IP project and strengthening IP rights in Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine, and in close cooperation and building, let's say, the bridges with European Commission in this regard. And I wanted this time ask a bit from different angles. So we have spoken quite a lot about capacity building, about approximations of laws, but what about the actually owners of IP rights? What about the businesses at large? What this project will bring for them?
Thank you very much, Sandris. And I think that's, I mean, it's always important for us to think about the final beneficiaries of everything that we do, which are not the IP offices, of course. The IP offices are only the means to reach the users of the IP system, the innovators, the ones that look for protection for the results of the investments in innovation. And they are, in fact, the most important part, I would say, of this whole story. I think that as IP offices, we have, of course, the obligation to serve the public in a certain way, in an excellent way. And that, of course, includes many, many things. As many of my colleagues here have already mentioned, this can, of course, be translated in very seamless services that allow a very easy contact with the administration through tools, through services, also allowing, of course, the users to have consistent and predictable rights with a very clear practice in terms of how we apply our laws, allowing them also to predict to a very large extent the outcome of their applications, ensuring that these rights are solid from a legal point of view, that if, of course, they are challenged in court, that they can stand. So this is an extremely important criteria for me in terms of quality. We deliver quality if we deliver, of course, legal certainty in a reasonable time and in accordance with the rules, and of course, based on decisions that are clear and transparent. I think that I try to sum up, of course, what I think is a service of quality to the users and to society in general. And for that, of course, I think that it's very important that we understand, we know what are the needs of users. It's not our needs. In fact, it's the needs of the market that we need to understand in order to give them the best possible solutions. And for that, we need to be and to continue to be organizations that are user-centric, that are open to the users, to the market, that put the user at the center of everything that we do. And even more, I have to say, that brings the users to the discussions about the solutions that we want to develop for them. I think that within the network of cooperation that we were able to create already some years ago at the EUIPO with national IP offices, this has been probably for me the best thing that we have done. We have decided to do things together, which is it's a first step. It's extremely important. But when we decided to do things together, we did not decide to do it ourselves and then present them to the market. No, we brought the users to this discussion. In fact, today, every time we decide to launch a new tool, a new practice, the users are in the discussion with us. So they tell us directly what are their needs, what is important for them. So it's extremely important that by doing that, by applying that methodology, you know that what you are going to do is going to be useful and it's going to be successful. So I think it's very important to be open, to be transparent, and to work closely with the users always, because that is, of course, something that is critical. Of course, we are public organizations. We are responsible for our decisions, not the users. It's one thing is to discuss, another thing then is to decide on a case by case. We decide and we take our own responsibilities. But that doesn't mean that we cannot talk with the market. We need to talk with the market. So I think that also an element of success for the future for everything that we'll be doing in this program would be to apply that methodology. Use the users. We had the chance also to have a session with the representatives of the IP community there. This is extremely important, but it's important, like we are doing here, it's important not just to hear from the users that we are excellent and that everything that we do is amazing. We have already many people to tell us that back in the office. It's better to tell us the truth and say, listen, here you are good, but there you could improve, because otherwise I don't know where I need to improve. So in fact, by involving the user community, the users are working for us because they are helping us in our work. And I think that in that context, we can then, of course, think about solutions, services, products that we can develop to the users. Many of them have been already here mentioned. There is no need, of course, to repeat them. But I think that as the pace of change in our current world and society is so fast, we need to be ready to react also fast to this. Together, offices, of course, together with users, EU offices, international organizations, and that is the spirit that we want to bring to this program, a spirit of cooperation, but a spirit of openness. I think that this is the best thing that we can do. And because we all have the same objectives, I'm sure, we want to generate impact. We want to be here or in other place, of course, in 2 or 3 years and show that the program generated impact, positive impact. For that, I think that we need to apply this way of working, build this alliance between IP offices that want the same thing, that work in a similar way, and that in the end can say the system today is better than it was when we started this project, because we invested, of course, resources, we put our efforts together, we brought the users to the system, and now through the offices we are offering our societies these products and these services. I think that it's a simple method. I think that we should not overcomplicate. We need to be simple and straightforward, but I think that it can generate results also in these programs. And I have to say that because Yvonne showed other projects that we have implemented in the past where we also implemented this methodology. I think that we have also accumulated experience from the implementation of those projects that we can bring to this discussion and engage, of course, with the user community. For the UIPO, that is a reason why also it's extremely important that we work directly with you. Who is best placed to bring the user community to this discussion? It's you. It's the 3 offices. You are the ones that are in contact with your IP community. You are the ones that understand better what are the problems, the difficulties, the obstacles that we need to overcome. So we count on you so that through you, we get that information. And based on that information, pooling the resources of the European network with the different type of specificities that we have, then we can work together in order to generate positive impacts. And think also on how to address many of the challenges that we have in front of us. They are, of course, a number of them that were mentioned, but I think that we need also to go further and try to help the market from a more forward-looking perspective, also trying to promote innovation in Europe. How can we promote more innovation? How can we help business to leverage their intangible assets and transform it into tangible value? Because IP should be about creating value. We need to create value. Otherwise, in our societies, we will be weaker, not stronger. And we need to be, of course, stronger. These are things that I think are interesting. And in fact, we should also benefit from the fact that at the level of the UIPO, we are now launching a new strategic cycle with our upcoming strategic plan that will be, of course, implemented as from the next year. The same reflection is valid for us. So everything that we are going also to think about and to reflect upon, we should use it also with our external partners as you. And then, of course, at the end, we will need to measure, because that is important. We need to be able to measure what impact means. What does it mean? It's like some of the colleagues said, the number of seminars could be, could not be. What is our role? We need to define the objective. What we want to do. We want to achieve 1 million entrepreneurs, for instance, imagine, with education in IP. This could be, it's an example. There are many others. So I think we need to be objective, identify clear objectives and targets, because then we will need to come here again to show how we have generated this impact. But I would say cooperative spirit, obviously, openness to users, simple methodologies. I believe that the best solutions are still the more simple solutions, because they are easier to implement and easy to understand. And then in the end, we will see if our key performance indicators for this project generated the impact that I'm sure we all share. We are all, of course, pushing on the same direction. We want to achieve the same results. Now we need to pool our different strengths and, of course, generate positive impact in the 3 countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, João, for reminding us that at the heart of our actions and as well in this project, it's actually the users. It's important to be in a constant dialogue with them as well, gathering all the strengths and as well, let's say, the weaknesses of the system. And of course, setting clear, achievable objectives that we can really measure them. Being conscious of time, I would like to thank you very much, the distinguished members of this panel, and to hand over to our generous host for the moderation of the last panel. Please, Eugeniu.
Thank you, Sandris. Am ascultat tot suportul care ar putea fi acordat de către țările membre UE care sunt prezente în
I have listened to all the support that could be provided by the EU member states who are here in the panel, and we already feel very supported so that we are able to face and cope with the challenges ahead of us. As Ms. Mogol was saying, we are not praising ourselves too much because we do not have time, and we don't have time because we have a lot of work to do. However, I would like to share with you an example that would illustrate in detail the level that we are at. We had an exchange of experiences with a country and EU member states that I will not name. There was a PowerPoint presentation done about everything that the IP state agency of the Republic of Moldova has, and the member state had to present in a PowerPoint presentation too how they could support us in their turn. So the important aspect was that we were praising ourselves, and ultimately we have shown everything that we have achieved throughout the years, and in the end, the other side that joined us for the exchange of experience said that there's nothing to add. Actually, they would rather take some actions from us and implement in their country. So if the audience has any questions to the colleagues in the panel, please. Any questions? Well, I would say one more thing until colleagues in the room think of questions. It has been mentioned that the first visit of the EU4IP executive director had been paid to Kiev, and the EU member states participated, but among all the EU member states, the Republic of Moldova also was there as a part of the EU delegation, and we were honored with the desire to be part of the delegation and the desire of the IPO of Ukraine that requested us to join the delegation. The experience was both beautiful and at the same time not so, given the unfair war that was started by Russia against Ukraine. And however, I would like to say that the Ukrainian side is still preserving that positive moment, as well as the courage that it manifests every time it fights against and it defends the territory of Ukraine, as well as the territory of the Republic of Moldova, being a shield for the European Union. I would like to ask whether there are questions from the audience or not. Are there questions, please? Well, if not, I'm looking at the time. Are we okay time-wise, or have we exceeded? Yes, we have. We are late in the agenda. Okay. Therefore, I would suggest to go to the last point on the agenda, where I would offer the floor to the Executive Director, Mr. João Negrão, with the closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Eugenio, and thank you so much to all of you, the ones that have joined us today in this conference, in this launch event of this very, very important and relevant project. I am extremely, extremely grateful for the attendance, for the interest, for the participation, for the cooperation that I have seen here during this event. That gives me a lot of motivation, and to my colleagues also at the EU4IP, and I'm sure that I also speak on behalf of my colleagues in the national IP offices for the work that we're going to have in front of us now in the next 4 years. It's extremely important that we continue to work together, in my view, in the way that we have worked together so far, and show, of course, that something that we have discussed some time ago among ourselves with the colleagues in the European Commission now became a reality. It's not only, of course, a piece of paper, it's a concrete project. And now, of course, we need to use this opportunity very, very well, because this opportunity can be very important for the future also of the three countries as regards intellectual property, as regards your objectives for accession to the European Union. And this opportunity, of course, needs to be fully used for the extent and for the objectives that you have. From our sides, again, what I can say is to thank the authorities of Moldova for their readiness to organize this event. They have immediately, when we have launched this challenge to them, immediately said yes. I thought they were going to consider it, but immediately they adhere to this idea, and we are very, very grateful for that. We have seen today here high support at the highest level of the Moldovan authorities to this project. So you see that this is something that has a political backing that is extremely important. Also, we saw the same level of commitment in Ukraine, in Kyiv in October. And of course, I'm certain that we see the same level of commitment also in Tbilisi, in Georgia, for this project. Now, from our side, it's time to start working, to start delivering, and come back to celebrate positive results that can, in the end, of course, generate results for the ones that most matter, which is, of course, innovators, entrepreneurs, business, in order to ensure that our societies, of course, can also progress. And I have to say that we are very, very happy to cooperate with you, the three countries. We like very much cooperating with you. We look forward, of course, for these years, and we look forward, of course, for what will come after that, that I'm quite sure it's going to be something very positive. Allow me also just to add a further note and a further word to my colleagues in the Ukrainian IP office, of course, for the extremely difficult efforts that they have made also to be here on this occasion. We are very, very aware of these difficulties. We are very, very grateful for your commitments. And we see, of course, and I saw myself the way the office works in Kyiv, despite all the difficulties. I think that we are all witnesses of this level of bravery that you'll show. And of course, I want to give you a word of motivation and encouragement to continue in that regard. You will not be, of course, alone in working in this area. You can count on us. You can count on the other countries. You can count on the network to continue to help you to deliver a service to everyone that is using the IP system. Thank you very much again. And of course, thank you for the interesting discussions. I look very much forward to continue these discussions in our next occasion. Thank you so much.
Am vrut să mă invit, dar m-am rămas gândit.
I wanted to offer the floor to myself, but then I changed my mind and I took the floor. And just to say a few words from the backstage, there's a lot of work that we have to do, and this is a reason. For me, every time I go to a business trip and I have the occasion to meet other directors of IPOs and managers of private associations, colleagues back at home say, please, director, don't say that you agree, but you have to say that you have to see with your colleagues at home. As I was saying, we are short of time. We have lots of tasks that we have to urgently perform, and we always want to be able to cope with all the challenges that are ahead of us. And now I'll continue with my official speech. Honored audience, before concluding this important conference, I would like to mention a few essential aspects. Through this project on strengthening IP rights in Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine, we have committed to build not only a solid institutional and legal framework, but also to cultivate a culture of respect for creativity and innovation. And we understand that the road towards an adequate IP protection, IP rights protection, is not easy. That requires sustained effort and cooperation between governments, international organizations, private sector, and the civil society. Today, here, we are proud to be part of this team, dedicated and determined team to make a positive change in our region. On my behalf and on behalf of the entire team of AJP, I would like to express our deep gratefulness to all those engaged in this important project. Traditional cooperation relations between Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine that have materialized in the EU4IP project proves the community of European values that we all share and our commitment to incentivize innovation, creativity, and competitiveness by promoting an efficient and strong IP system for the benefit of our citizens. Today, when our countries have committed to a responsible and demanding EU accession process, the support of the EU IPO and the EU officials in the area of IP is that element that makes the difference and ensures success on chapter number 7, intellectual property. We are deeply grateful to our partners, EU IPO, European Commission, for promoting and funding the project, a platform which would facilitate the know-how transfer and expertise on IP from member states towards beneficiary candidate countries. I would also like to mention the availability of our domestic partners, public authorities, academia, professional institutions, and the business sector to engage in preparing the Republic of Moldova for EU accession. And of course, we are grateful to our IPO colleagues from the EU member states that agreed to join this event and that have shown their interest in continuing to implement project activities. And finally, I would like to thank you, personally, to the Executive Director, Mr. João Negrão, and the European Commission for funding the project, which has all the premises to become a success. I am confident that the project will have a significant impact on our community, and we shall continue working together to promote the culture of respect of IP and for creating a competitive economic environment favorable to attracting investments and to developing innovational entrepreneurship. I am very eager to see the fruitful results of the project, and I'm eager to continue cooperating for a more innovative, more creative, and more prosperous region and societies. Thank you to all for your inputs, and thank you for participating at the launch conference of the EU4.
Online și nu în ultimul rând traducătorilor care au facilitat comunicarea și colegilor de la AGP și EU4IP care au contribuit la organizarea evenimentului. Mulțumesc frumos! Și acum vă invit la un
And I would like to invite you for a cocktail. We have the possibility to communicate there, to share ideas, and to know each other better and exchange contacts so that we are closer to each other. Thank you.